What's going on, guys? My name is Noah. Today I want to talk about dealing with mornings when you are depressed. Now, this video might connect the most with those who are more severely depressed, major depressive disorder, clinical depression, dangerous, debilitating depression, but it should hit certain heads for everyone who deals with any mood problems wherever you are on the spectrum. If you'd like to know my story, please feel free to read the description below. It edifies me, but all you really need to know is that I know dark places. I've been put on a psychiatric hold for suicidality for weeks at a time. I've been on psych meds. I've done a form of shock therapy. I've had to go back to my parents' house to be watched over. I'm on suicide watch. I know dark places. And I also know the morning. I know what the morning can represent for so many people who struggle with mood disorders. If you're anything like me, morning was the scariest time because I didn't know how I was going to wake up that day or how painful it was going to be. Sometimes I couldn't imagine getting out of bed. Other days it was a little bit easier, but no matter what, I was afraid of the morning because of how much more depressed and how much more awful I felt. I think I sort of look at it like this. Most people don't care for the morning anyway, even when they're not depressed, but when you are actually formally clinically depressed, when shit's not firing off properly in your brain, the morning is like a tidal wave of hopelessness that makes you feel like you're drowning every goddamn time. Now for me, the evenings, I would sometimes get some reprieve, even if it was something that's known as negative happiness, where I could count on, to a certain extent, being less depressed in the evening. And based on my experiences when I was in my treatment-resistant major depressive episode, I could count on the mornings being extra difficult, extra painful. Sometimes I would near panic at the thought of opening my eyes the next day. I would even stay up till 7 a.m. some nights, just petrified to fall asleep. So what do we do about this? People have messaged me all around the world talking about the same thing, that mornings are just this terrible time. What can they do? What's the solution to these horrible, horrible feelings in the morning, particularly hard feelings in the morning? And here's a tough pill to swallow that I just want to be blunt with you. This is not a quick fix video. And if you're clinically depressed, nothing will be a quick fix. And we're like afraid to tell each other that it's going to be hopeless for a while. And you're going to have to do something that doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't sound comforting, but it's real. You're going to have to survive it. This video more is geared towards how you survive the mornings when you're clinically depressed. How do you get through them until your brain is able to make a change? What goes down must come up. I do believe that the mind is constantly trying to fix itself. Your job is to stay out of its way and not do anything to make it worse. But as pertains to the morning, you may have heard me say this before, and I'll say it a million times because it still affects me to this day, although I'm not clinically depressed at this time, thank God. Structure. You need desperate structure, and it starts from the moment you open your eyes. See, long gone are the days where you can just lay in bed and just doze off for a while, just enjoy the comfort of your blankets. If you were anything like me, you probably can't even feel comfort in your bed anymore. So one of the things you can do is make a commitment that once your alarm goes off, you will get up. You have to get out of bed. A lot of the most fucked up and insidious thoughts come from ruminating laying in your bed. You need to have an outline every single day, and weekends might be more important than weekdays, of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. If you can give yourself certain structure, then you can go into autopilot, and yes, you're hurting, and it's not going to take away the pain, but it will distract you from the pain, which might distract some of those less useful thoughts, though that stinking thinking. You know, your broken brain cannot fix your damaged mind, so you need to just go. So for me, when my alarm gets off, I give myself like 20 seconds. 20 seconds and my ass is up, and all I want to do is stay there and not move. But it's about survival. You're surviving now. You're putting in the work right now that's going to get you healthy. The work that's going to keep you going until things get better. So I get out of bed and I hit my knees and I say a little prayer. I don't care if you're not the praying type. That's what I do. And then I immediately get up, go downstairs, and I start cooking breakfast. Some days I literally wasn't sure I was going to make it to the bottom of the stairwell, but I just go. And I cook myself breakfast, and then I make sure I have an appointment scheduled, and I go. Whether that's an appointment to meet with a friend, whether that's an appointment to do volunteer work, whether that's an appointment to exercise, I'm going. And I have the first 4 to 6 hours of my day so rigorously structured that I can't even stand it. But you know what? It gives me purpose, it gives me guidelines, and it keeps me from sitting too deep in here for too long. And most of it has to do with being social. A lot of it has to do with this weird thing that comes over me personally and a lot of people I know when they're around other people, people that care about them, people that have their best interest in mind. Our learned behavior comes back from when we weren't depressed. It can bring out sides of us we didn't even know we still had access to, because when you're depressed, you can sometimes feel like psychosis, like you're dead inside. That structure was the #1 thing for keeping me in survival mode throughout my mornings. I really, really lived by it. You're gonna have to decide what that structure looks like for you, what you're willing to schedule, what you're willing to do. But fill up your mornings, guys. Fill them up to the brim, and try to execute them each and every day. Don't go to bed without something planned for that next morning, and you want to try to get up at the same time, and you want to try to go to sleep at the same time. It's very, very, very important. Now, sometimes I would deviate from this. Maybe I would have great structure for a few days, and then it would be a Saturday or something, and I would think to myself, you know what, tomorrow I'll just spend the day at home. Tomorrow I'll just spend the day watching TV. And then my days off would be easily the hardest days I'd had the whole entire week. And I thought I was stressed the whole week taking care of things and being busy. You know, and being busy can mean different things for different people. Maybe you're not capable of working right now. I wasn't for about a year. I couldn't work. I was too depressed, too suicidal. But I was really, really busy. And then when I was finally able to incorporate a little bit of work, I would go to work and I would think, oh my God, I can't be here. I can't do this. I'm not going to make it to the end of my shift. I'm going to die anyway. What's the point? But then people would come up to me and I would be forced to talk to them and things would happen. And suddenly I'd realize, look, I just accomplished something. Depressed, hopeless me just accomplished something, and time went by. And then I'd get my negative happiness in the evening, which was a little bit of reprieve, maybe even feel okay for a stretch. But then days where I had nothing, I get wrecked. This eventually changed, and it slowly changed, and you're going to have to sit down and figure out what you can and can't do. But Survival 101, when depressed in the morning, dictates that you make yourself busy even when you don't want to be. So I hope this video makes sense to you. I hope you get that reprieve in the evening. And I hope mornings get easier and easier and easier. I still sometimes struggle in the morning, but in general, I've made so many improvements. I'm no longer afraid to get out of bed. And that is a blessing all in itself. And now I do have my nothing days here and there. And that's amazing. And I'm grateful for that. Right now, if you're in the shit of it, it's your job to get extra structured, whether that's outpatient treatments that you can find, volunteer work, an actual formal job of any sort, part-time or full, whatever you think you can handle, meeting with friends, going for an exercise, meeting with your counselor, meeting with therapists, scheduling things for yourself. Do it. The universal outcry people have when they're depressed is they feel like they can't control anything. They feel like everything's happening to them. This is something you can control. It's something you have within the realm of your possibility. And even if you don't have access to a ton of resources, figure out what resources are free and start there. Again, my name is Noah. I didn't mean to psychobabble, but I just have like a huge heart for people that struggle, in particular in the mornings, because I get that. I really do. Fuck the mornings when you're depressed. They feel like they can last forever. And if you're hurting, stay brave. Just be brave. 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute at a time. If I can crawl my way out of a couple years of treatment-resistant depression, anybody can. Anybody can. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.